Crimean Bridge repairs were supposed to secure Russia's most critical supply route, but sudden Ukrainian jet strikes changed the entire situation overnight. What really happened, why it matters, and how this could reshape the conflict may surprise you. Stay with us. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking down a major development surrounding the Crimean Bridge, one of the most strategically important structures in the Russia-Ukraine war. This bridge has long served as a lifeline for military logistics, civilian transport, and symbolic control over Crimea. Recently, reports emerged that Ukrainian jets targeted operations connected to repair efforts on or near the bridge, raising serious questions about security, timing, and long-term impact. While official details remain limited, the significance of any disruption here cannot be overstated. The Crimean Bridge is not just concrete and steel. It represents supply chains, morale, and political messaging on a global scale. In this video, we will carefully analyze what is known so far, what analysts believe may have occurred, and why this moment is being described as a potential turning point. We will avoid rumors, stick to responsible analysis, and explain the broader consequences step by step. From military logistics to international reactions, every angle matters. Make sure you watch until the end, because each section builds on the last to give you the full picture. Understanding events like these helps separate emotional headlines from strategic reality. Let us begin by examining why the Crimean Bridge remains such a high-value target, and why even limited disruption sends shockwaves far beyond the battlefield today. The Crimean Bridge has been central to Russia's operational planning since the beginning of the conflict. It connects mainland Russia directly to Crimea, allowing rapid movement of fuel, ammunition, heavy equipment, and personnel. When repairs are underway, it usually signals previous damage or heightened security concerns. Analysts note that any activity around repair convoys, equipment transfers, or engineering units becomes highly sensitive. Ukrainian strategy has consistently focused on disrupting logistics, rather than symbolic destruction alone. According to open-source observers, recent air activity near Crimea coincided with tightened air defenses and restricted maritime movement. This suggests that something significant was anticipated or already unfolding. Even the perception of a successful strike can force rerouting, delays, and increased resource allocation. Repair operations are complex, slow, and expensive, especially under threat. Each delay compounds logistical pressure across southern fronts. Importantly, Ukraine does not need to permanently destroy the bridge to achieve strategic effect. Temporary disruption can strain supply chains, reduce operational tempo, and force difficult decisions. This is why reports of jets engaging targets linked to repair efforts generated such strong reactions online and among analysts. The bridge's importance magnifies every incident. Understanding this context helps explain why even limited, carefully targeted actions can have outsized strategic consequences in modern warfare scenarios today. When reports mentioned Ukrainian jets striking near Crimean Bridge repair efforts, immediate attention followed from military analysts worldwide. Air operations in this region are highly risky due to layered air defense systems, surveillance, and electronic warfare. Any successful penetration, even brief, indicates planning, intelligence, and timing. Analysts caution that exact targets are often unclear in early reporting. However, strikes aimed at support infrastructure, staging areas, or logistics convoys can be just as impactful as direct hits. Repair operations rely on predictable movement patterns, making them vulnerable. Once disrupted, security protocols intensify, slowing work dramatically. This creates a cascading effect where timelines stretch and costs rise. For Russia, protecting repair crews becomes as important as repairing damage itself. For Ukraine, forcing this dilemma is strategically valuable. The psychological effect also matters. Each incident reinforces uncertainty and forces constant reassessment. Importantly, responsible analysis avoids assuming total destruction. Modern warfare increasingly focuses on pressure rather than permanence. By creating repeated disruptions, a defender can achieve long-term advantage without singular dramatic events. This approach aligns with observed Ukrainian strategy elsewhere. The reported jet activity fits within this broader pattern of calculated pressure, making the situation around the Crimean Bridge far more complex than a single headline suggests. International reaction to developments around the Crimean Bridge has been measured but attentive. Governments and defense observers understand that escalation risks are real, especially when critical infrastructure is involved. However, Ukraine frames its actions within the context of self-defense and reclaiming occupied territory. From this perspective, logistics routes supporting military operations are legitimate targets. Russia, on the other hand, views the bridge as sovereign infrastructure, increasing political sensitivity. This contrast shapes global messaging. Media coverage often amplifies dramatic language, but official statements remain cautious. Markets, Shipping insurers and regional planners all watch the bridge closely, because disruptions can affect trade flows beyond the battlefield. Even temporary closures influence confidence. Meanwhile, satellite imagery and open-source intelligence communities attempt to verify claims, though confirmation can take time. This delay creates an information gap where speculation thrives. Understanding how information moves is essential. What matters strategically is not just what happened, but how actors respond. Increased air patrols, stricter checkpoints, and rerouted logistics indicate perceived risk. These responses themselves signal impact. In modern conflicts, reactions often reveal more than initial strikes. The Crimean Bridge remains under constant observation precisely because it sits at the intersection of military necessity, political symbolism, and international scrutiny. From a military logistics standpoint, repair disruptions create layered challenges. Heavy equipment must be transported, engineers protected, and work conducted under potential threat. Each additional security measure slows progress. Fuel consumption increases as routes are altered. Commanders must decide whether to concentrate defenses or disperse assets. These decisions carry opportunity costs. Ukrainian strategy appears focused on exploiting such trade-offs. By forcing Russia to invest heavily in defense of a single structure, pressure eases elsewhere. This redistribution of resources is a classic asymmetric approach. Importantly, logistics often determine outcomes more than frontline engagements. History repeatedly shows that armies struggle when supply lines are stressed. Even advanced forces cannot operate effectively without consistent resupply. The Crimean Bridge represents a bottleneck. When stressed, its weakness affects a wide operational area. Analysts highlight that air operations targeting support elements, rather than the structure itself, reduce escalation risks while maintaining pressure. This balance is crucial. It allows sustained impact without triggering immediate large-scale retaliation. The situation demonstrates how modern conflicts blend precision, restraint, and persistence. Understanding these dynamics helps explain why seemingly small incidents generate strategic consequences far beyond their immediate physical damage alone. The phrase, "this changed everything," resonates because it reflects cumulative impact rather than a single dramatic moment. Each disruption around the Crimean Bridge adds to an ongoing pattern. Over time, patterns influence planning assumptions. If repair operations are repeatedly delayed, commanders adjust expectations. This affects campaign timelines, reserve allocation, and political messaging. For Ukraine, demonstrating reach and persistence reinforces deterrence. For Russia, ensuring uninterrupted operation becomes increasingly costly. This dynamic shift matters. It signals that control is contested, not absolute. Importantly, warfare today is as much about perception as territory. Even if traffic continues, the constant threat environment alters behavior. Civilians, contractors, and insurers factor risk into decisions. These secondary effects ripple outward. Analysts emphasize that no single strike decides a war, but accumulated pressure shapes outcomes. The Crimean Bridge sits at the center of this pressure strategy. Each reported incident reinforces uncertainty. That uncertainty forces adaptation. Adaptation consumes resources. Over time, resource strain influences strategic options. This is how incremental actions can change everything. Without dramatic visuals, it is a slow, calculated reshaping of the operational environment that favors patience and persistence over spectacle. Air power plays a unique role in this environment. Jets offer speed, reach, and psychological impact. Even limited sorties can trigger extensive defensive responses. Air defense systems activate, radar coverage intensifies, and command centers shift posture. These reactions themselves disrupt normal operations. Importantly, jets do not need to linger to be effective. Brief presence achieves objectives. Analysts suggest that air operations near Crimea are designed to test defenses, gather data, and apply pressure simultaneously. This multi-purpose approach maximizes value while minimizing exposure. The presence of jets also signals capability, reinforcing deterrence narratives. For repair crews, working under potential air threat changes procedures dramatically. Protective measures slow progress and raise costs. Every additional precaution compounds delays. This illustrates why air operations, even when limited, have outsized influence. They affect planning cycles rather than just physical assets. In the Crimean Bridge context, this influence is magnified due to the structure's importance. Understanding air power's psychological and operational effects helps clarify why reports of jet involvement sparked such intense discussion among analysts worldwide. Information warfare runs parallel to physical operations. Competing narratives attempt to shape perception. Ukraine emphasizes precision and legitimacy. Russia emphasizes resilience and continuity. Both sides understand global audiences are watching. Social media accelerates this contest, spreading claims faster than verification. This creates confusion, which itself is a strategic factor. Analysts recommend focusing on observable responses rather than statements. Increased security, altered schedules, and restricted access often confirm impact indirectly. In the Crimean Bridge case, observable changes matter more than declarations. The information environment ensures that every development is magnified. This magnification can amplify strategic effects. When audiences believe disruption is possible, confidence erodes. This erosion affects decision-making at multiple levels. Information warfare does not replace physical action, but it multiplies its impact. The bridge remains a focal point precisely because it operates in both domains simultaneously. Understanding this dual role helps explain why developments here resonate far beyond their immediate physical scope. Looking ahead, analysts expect continued focus on logistics nodes rather than symbolic destruction. This approach aligns with risk management and long-term strategy. For Ukraine, sustaining pressure while avoiding uncontrolled escalation remains key. For Russia, ensuring reliability under threat becomes a growing challenge. The Crimean Bridge will likely remain heavily defended and closely monitored. This constant vigilance carries costs. Over time, those costs accumulate. Strategic endurance often determines outcomes more than dramatic events. Observers caution against expecting definitive moments. Instead, progress appears through gradual shifts in capability, confidence, and control. The situation around the bridge exemplifies this reality. Each reported incident contributes to a broader trend. That trend shapes expectations and decisions. Understanding this helps viewers interpret headlines responsibly. It encourages patience and critical thinking rather than reactive conclusions. The evolving situation underscores how modern conflict rewards adaptability, intelligence, and sustained pressure over singular dramatic actions alone. In conclusion, developments around the Crimean Bridge illustrate the complexity of modern warfare. Reports of Ukrainian jets targeting areas linked to repair efforts highlight a broader strategy focused on logistics, pressure, and perception. Rather than isolated events, these actions form part of a sustained approach. The bridge's importance magnifies every disruption, making even limited actions strategically meaningful. Analysts emphasize caution, verification, and context when assessing claims. What matters most is not dramatic language, but observable impact over time. Increased security, delayed repairs, and resource reallocation all signal pressure. This evolving situation demonstrates how conflicts are shaped by cumulative effects rather than single moments. Understanding these dynamics helps audiences move beyond headlines toward informed analysis. The Crimean Bridge will remain a focal point because it embodies logistical necessity, political symbolism, and strategic vulnerability. Watching how both sides adapt provides insight into the conflict's trajectory. If you found this analysis valuable, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for accurate, balanced updates on global security developments.